now.
Welcome to the My Haunt Life podcast.
Hello and welcome to the My Haunt Life podcast, episode 19. I'm Mike.
And I'm Russell.
And since the last podcast, we have done some things, not a lot, because after those two Halloween conventions, Midsummer Scream and ScareLA, right now we're kind of in the middle of the calm before the storm.
I think all of Los Angeles is resting or rapidly preparing something for the month of October.
And it's such an exciting time. You get to rest a little bit, and then because you're going to need it with what's coming in September and October.
Of all the things that we have done, which isn't a massive list, Mike, but where do you want to start?
Let's start with the bunker experience. We did that last night.
It was awesome.
It was so awesome.
For those of you who may not be aware of it, the bunker experience is an escape room or experience. There's a very deliberate reason they call themselves the bunker experience, which is located in Pasadena. And it has a post-apocalyptic theme and storyline to it. And it begins with, it actually begins the moment you enter the door.
Yeah.
And they start you out immediately. The whole setup of the sort of game is actually in character from the moment you step inside the room. And I loved that about this, Mike. I thought it was so cool. And then they basically throw you into an escape room scenario.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a post-apocalyptic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, post-apocalyptic scenario, and you actually are in an underground bunker, and that adds so much to this room and to this story. Like, we always talk about how the setting of an escape room adds so much, but when you're actually underground and all you see are brick, and it's 100-year-old building, and you know there's certain things you see and certain smells you smell, and just being in that environment, knowing what you know about the story and trying to escape, it adds that much more to it.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to point to something that actually will probably sound really silly. Did you notice the ceiling?
No.
It is literally all of the exposed board. Like, they didn't cover the ceiling at all. This is an unfinished basement, basically. And it's so, like, literally you're looking at the floorboards of the floor above you. And, you know, you see all of the wiring, all of the plumbing, you see everything. It's all exposed. And actually, during the escape room, there were a couple of times when I, was looking, I actually felt some of the plumbing thinking, okay, did they hide something above this? Because some of it is actually within your reach and within your grasp. So this is one of those times when the environment added so much fun to the experience.
Yeah, and I guess the building used to be a bank. Was that?
There's an actual bank vault door, and we were told that one of the rooms actually involved in the escape room is a former vault. And for those of you who are familiar with Pasadena, we should mention that this is actually the old location of, I believe it's called the Old Town Pasadena Haunt, which ran for years and was a very popular local favorite. They haven't been running in a couple of years. The bunker experience took over that space. So some people who are listening to this might actually be more familiar with the space than they think. They have revamped the space. They have made it their own, and they've created the post-apocalyptic vibe inside. And but some people may be familiar with this and remember that haunt. I went through that haunt a few times early on when I was here in Los Angeles. It was really fun, but this, they're using the space in a very different way now.
Being in a 100-year-old building and seeing the vaults and the big, huge doors,
exposed brick,
so
rough concrete
cool.
walls.
Like it's something you can't recreate, really.
Yeah,
I know Hollywood does all the time, but I mean that in a way where it's like it seems so natural, and like I said, it adds so much to your experience there.
Actually, you just tapped into it. This isn't a set.
Right.
This is a real building. Like they moved into something that was appropriate to the experience. This is not a set that they built. This is like you're in a real environment.
And I guess you're all wondering if we escaped. Russell, did we escape?
Oh, we so escaped.
And I feel like you want to say more.
Oh, really? I got to admit, I was surprised when we got out and the first thing that everyone did was turn to us and went, Well, that's the record. You just broke the record.
Yeah.
So we are now the record holders for being the fastest team to escape from the bunker experience.
Suck it, Team Horror Buzz. We love you, though.
Yeah, Team Horror Buzz made this big social media splash a little while ago about how they broke every record at the bunker experience, and we came in and basically put them to shame. And the weird thing is we were able to speak with the cast briefly afterwards, and one of the actresses mentioned to me she asked me about the game itself, and she said, "Did you feel it was too easy for you guys because you got out really, really fast?" And the first thing I said was, "No, yeah, we got out fast, but it's because number one, it's a team that we have worked together before." And number two, we were just having so much fun that I think we sped up based on the fact that we kept finding things and uncovering things that we actually moved really, really quickly because we were having so much fun. Mm-hmm. And there's a way that they keep time in this room. And I know we were getting updates. I completely ignored it because I was so into discovering and finding and that I completely ignored the time. And it's a 40-minute experience?
40 minutes.
It's a 40-minute experience, and I completely forgot about time in there. I didn't, and it's one of the few times in an escape room where I never checked the clock. I never wondered how much time we had left because we were just having such a good time. And
I was thinking about that same question on the way home, and it wasn't easy, but I think this is where our experience comes into play. You know, we see certain things, like we know what to do with it. We know how to look at something different, whereas other people may not. You know, because they said there was only a 20% success rate. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's nuts. And, you know, when you go through escape rooms, you know certain things. If you find a battery, for example, you know that's going to go into something that you need to use later.
Yeah, at some point you'll find something that requires a battery. I will compliment this. Obviously, most escape rooms at some point have a combination lock. Something that the bunker experience has is one of those combinations that we had to find completely unique. A combination of two different things that formed the combination, which I had never quite seen before. Which, you know, is like you've said in past podcasts, Mike, like something completely new. And actually, that was one of the things that threw us for a little while. By the way, we're saying that we escaped really fast. What was the time, Mike?
21:54.
Yes. So we escaped in about half the allotted time given, but I don't feel that it was too easy, just because of the environment, because of the puzzles. There's a couple of really nice reveals where you go like, oh, now we have to figure all of this out. I just, you know, kudos to them. This is one of the most fun that we've done in a while, I think.
And that's another reason when they came out and said it was like, oh, it was only 20 minutes or so. I felt like I was in there already for an hour.
Oh yeah.
Just because
it felt much longer.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Everything in there, and, you know, you suck in the environment and you're dealing with puzzles and everyone's scattered looking for clues. It felt so much longer. Like, I thought we were close to not escaping, actually.
Yeah, it was so weird. It's funny because, like I said earlier, it was just like I didn't pay attention to the time on this one at all. I never checked in on it. So and there's like, yeah, I had this one moment where like we were looking for something, and I started to literally crawl under things because there was one corner that like was shelving and stuff like that, and I literally got up under that shelving and was moving the stuff around underneath, and so yeah, it's a great little space to explore. We really enjoyed it.
And there was another thing that we had mentioned in a past podcast that came into play yesterday, and that was if you get to a point where you can't do something and you get a little frustrated, hand it off to someone else. And Absolutely. That happened with you and I.
Yeah, actually. And it's funny because they actually did throw out the comment. It involved a lock, and we found the solution to how to unlock the lock. And I was trying to unlock the lock and failing. And they actually threw out the clue of, that lock is a little stiff. And so what I did is I tried one more time, and then I just turned around and went, okay, somebody else needs to try this because obviously I'm not getting it, but I felt that we were correct in that we did have the proper way of unlocking the lock. And you got it.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. It was a time like, okay, I'm not getting this. Somebody else Like, try this.
I'm not saying that in order to like, oh, I did it, you
Oh,
didn't,
no,
anything.
absolutely
But
not.
it's for people listening that do escape rooms to don't be afraid to hand it off to someone if you're not getting it.
Actually, we got thrown into an escape room, just to beat this point like a dead horse. We got thrown into escape room, I think about a month ago, and I literally did that with someone. I was like, okay, wait a minute. I think we have the correct answer, but I am not getting the lock. And it was one of those stupid, funky, weird, rotating combo locks that you have to line up exactly correctly. And I turned around and went, here, would you try that? And the person like looked at me and went, why? You just tried it. I was like, no, seriously, like somebody else needs to try this. And he didn't understand why I was asking that. And in the bunker experience, we proved exactly why.
Yeah.
Because like you succeeded where I didn't. And it was literally just the tension of the turning of something on a rotating lock. It's just like, so yeah, it was like if you aren't getting the puzzle, if you're like, ask someone else to take a look at it. Absolutely. It will help you succeed in escape rooms. And to be totally honest, it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, I'm failing at this. It's like, you try it, and let me watch you either fail or succeed.
So this one, I mean, I recommend this one. I highly recommend this one because not only because it's a fun game, but the ending, which I'm not going to say, is such a surprise, and
Yeah.
it's so cool.
It's really fun. It's really, really fun. And actually, Mike, you mentioned the ending. We were able to discuss that with our hostess, B, who was gracious enough to give My Haunt Life a bit of an interview. And I would suggest if you're interested in doing the bunker experience, listen carefully because she drops a few hints about things that you might experience inside.
Yeah, so if our talking didn't get you excited about it, hopefully hers will. And because just listening to it again, it gets me more excited to go back to it. So here's our interview with B. So Russell and I are here with B from the Bunker Experience, and we just escaped in record time. So we are super, super excited. And the Bunker Experience we've been wanting to do for such a long time. We're so glad we're finally able to do it. Can you give people a little background about what it is, what they can expect, and things like that?
Well, first of all, congrats on the record-breaking time. I mean, I was blown away. We're like, oh my God, they're going to get out in time and not even get close to the finishing line, or finishing hour, or minute, I guess. So just to give you guys a little background as far as the Bunker Experience. So we just opened early this summer, so we're somewhat relatively new in this area. However, we're the only escape room in Pasadena, which is exciting for us because there's not really much here. We took over a space in a building that was built over 100 years ago, and we took over a bank's vault, actually, which was kind of cool because it led to our story, and it was perfect. It was kind of like a perfect match. And the Bunker Experience, just to give you guys a little inside info as far as what the story is, it's a post-apocalyptic story that basically a group of survivors live underground in a bunker, and technically the audience is escaping from another bunker because they were attacked by vandals. So when the audience comes in, we basically welcome them, and then something happens, and then all of a sudden now their time is ticking. Now they have to leave the bunker with a mission, of course. And this is built off of a scripted web series, so this is chapter 1 that we're experiencing. And soon enough, we're going to have chapter 2, which continues the story. So this is going to be really a story-driven experience, and this is an experience really because it's not just an escape room. We have a little bit of a maze at the end, so it's kind of both, right? And also it's an interactive play, so I kind of like to call it a distant cousin of an ARG, alternative reality game, because it's kind of what it meant to be. So this is why it's an experience.
Now, the location, we're underground, basically in a bunker.
Yes.
Now, did you have the story written out and the ideas for the bunker, or did you get this place first and then think, oh, wait a minute, we could do a cool bunker thing?
Yeah, good question. No, I actually had the story years ago. Initially, this was a short film that I wanted to do, and I started working in digital entertainment, so I was producing web series. That kind of led me into saying, or getting inspired into doing this as a choose your own adventure web series, which would have been super, super cool because, again, it's interactive. It tells you the story in a highly interactive way, which obviously the audience will kind of lead how the story kind of goes. And then when I started experiencing the escape rooms around LA, and I was a big fan of it when it was a video game anyway, I thought this is even better. This kind of just, raises that interactive level of telling the story. So this story was already pre-written. It was basically, it's scripted as is for 2 seasons. So this gives us pretty much a 24-chapter experience, which is going to just continue. And eventually we'll obviously grab the story and take it outside of this space. But for now, this is going to be kind of our home. But yeah, so this space, when we found it, this was naturally kind of we were meant to be, even though it was hard to get. But it was a really good match.
Touching on what you just said.
Yeah.
So how are you going to incorporate the chapters? Are you going to have chapter 1 plus the following chapters up and running simultaneously? How are you going to give the patrons a chance to experience the full story?
So for now, I mean, here's how, and this is kind of going back to my web experience and the way that we would write a web series, and this is kind of a new way of writing a story. I guess some TV series actually do this as well, is even though they have a story arc and they know where they want the story to end up, essentially, they want to listen to the audience as well, as far as, okay, so, they want, like more monsters, or they want the main character to be a little more crazier. This is kind of where I'm going to take it to, is obviously the first 3 chapters are going to be in this space simultaneously. It's going to be within the 20 North Raymond basement. And then eventually, if we decide to look, okay, the audience wants more of a maze, more of a haunt versus, the room feeling itself, or do both, or put the room in the maze, who knows? Like, that'll be something that I want to incorporate and then build, obviously, onto the story as it's written. But I do want to keep it simultaneously running here in this space, however much we can obviously fit in here.
We just finished chapter 1. Do you have a time for chapter 2 to be up and running, or is it too soon to ask that?
No, actually, it's a good question, because I do want to actually have chapter 2 by the end of the year.
Oh, excellent.
And it'll be running simultaneously with chapter 1. So, and I mentioned to you guys earlier, too, when you guys finished the room, that in case you guys haven't done chapter 1 but just want to do chapter 2, you can. You're not going to be totally confused. You might want to do chapter 1 just to give you that more of a story feel. But you can also go on our website, on our social media page, just to kind of get a little bit of a background info. What is the bunker?
And actually, I'm glad you said that, because one of the things I want to draw our listeners to is go to the bunker website, because they have a really good, concise intro to this story. And it literally gives you the main character names, like who you need to know. So you may encounter someone along your journey. And so when they talk about a character, when they threaten you with, if you don't escape, somebody is coming, you know the character if you just read literally the 1-page little outline.
That's true.
I really enjoyed your website, because
thanks.
It's the perfect, succinct, really good intro. And I walked in here and I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is exactly what I was expecting based on what I read.
And I'm glad you said that, because the website is supposed to give you that, starting storyline, right? Or just give you a little bit of a synopsis of what to expect. I would have to say majority of the people that walk through have no idea. They're like, okay, wait a minute, so what is this? So, even though they don't necessarily visit the website, but eventually once they experience the experience physically, they could go back to it and say, oh, okay, I can read a little bit more about it. And eventually we'll develop the characters more as as time will go, so that you will have a chance to learn more about, okay, who's who, what's this thing about this light crawler guy? Like, how bad is this guy? What is his thing? Where did he come from? And eventually, we're going to have videos, and we're going to have some supplemental info. So I think it'll be super, super fun. It's exciting for me, because it's going to,
One of the reasons that I'm glad I did read the website is, let's just say that you start immediately.
That's true.
The moment you walk in the door, immediately.
And Russell, this is perfect, because this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted the audience to walk through the door and they're already in the story. It starts the moment you're here. So in a sense, it kind of starts from the street. And not that, I've done plenty of escape rooms and they're super great. Sometimes I felt that was kind of missing. Like, I'm coming from a story part of it. I want to tell a story with this experience, rather than, look, this is just going to be a super challenging room, or, you know what, it's going to be multiple rooms with different themes. Those are super awesome, and we have those people that want that, but I wanted to have this experience, which is why we call it an experience. It's really just that. It's an adventure.
Yeah, it felt very adventure oriented,
Okay.
and the difficulty of the room I thought fit the theme. Like the stuff that you're finding and the things that you're figuring out are very thematically incorporated into the room.
Perfect,
We had
thanks.
a blast.
Oh, good.
Now, you had mentioned that the success rate, the survival rate was 20%. With that being said, and I don't want to spoil the ending, do you get bummed when that 80% of people don't get to experience what the ending is?
No, because I would have to say 80. The rest of the 80% get close. They probably would get out, or a larger percentage would probably get out if they would have more time. So it really comes down to look. And it's so hard for you to watch them through the security screen and be like, oh, but I want them to get to the end because there's this extra cool puzzle that they get or something that they. So it's kind of like you have to bite your tongue and just be like, yeah, okay, well they're gonna have to come back to get to that. But I would say they get really close. So it's really just a time factor. And some people have more experience. Like you guys obviously have done this before, so you know what to do. And again, it's kind of, I would say it's a mediocre level as far as hard or difficulty level would go. What do you guys think? Is this like an easy game, or what do you think?
Not easy
it's not
at
that
all,
easy.
no.
No.
Now, so are you're okay with people coming multiple times then, apparently?
Oh, sure. And we're
Okay,
going to change
good.
the puzzles. I mean, I change the codes on a regular basis just because, word of mouth gets out. And we're going to change, we're adding things to it all the time because, I get inspired or, I see that, okay, some people tend to be liking certain things more. So I want to obviously feed into that. So that'll be something that we'll constantly do. And if you guys come back maybe in a month or two, it's probably going to be, if not most of the puzzles, half of them will be definitely different.
Now, based on the setting and the ending,
Yeah.
with October coming up, do you
Mm-hmm.
have anything special planned?
Yeah, great question, Mike. Actually, we do. We want to, obviously pay attention to the Halloween season. Everybody's looking for that extra scare, and we do want to give them a little bit of that. So we're expanding the maze, and we're actually, without giving away too much, we're kind of amping up what you experienced at the end. This is going to be probably about 20 times more. So we're going to have a little bit more characters, more actors involved, and obviously we're going to expand the maze for the entire rest of the space, pretty much.
Oh, we're coming back.
Yeah.
You guys are going to have to, because it's going to be good.
Thank you so much. This was so great. Can you tell people where they can find more info about you?
Oh, sure. And thank you guys for coming. This was a long time in the making, or scheduling, I would say. Yes, you guys can find us on bunkerexperience.com, or actually, I should say thebunkerexperience.com. Also find us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. We're heavy on social media, and we love the web. So that's probably the best way to find us online. And we're on the corner of Raymond and Colorado in Old Town Pasadena, 20 North Raymond, basement. So that's kind of where we are, and we're going to stay for a while.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. You guys are awesome.
So thank you again, B. Thank you, The Bunker Experience. We had an amazing time, and I want to give a shout out to our record-breaking team, Melissa, Noah, James, Dawson, Brandon, Russell, and Mike.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. You guys are a great team. And for more information on The Bunker Experience, you can check them out on the web at thebunkerexperience.com, on Facebook, The Bunker Experience, on Instagram, The Bunker Experience, and on Twitter, Bunker EX. So you recently did another escape room, or two, right? Was it two?
No, it was only one.
Oh, but it seems like two.
Well, there's a story behind that. Making a big splash in the escape room world of Los Angeles, there's a new building in Hollywood, right on Hollywood Boulevard, called Escape Hotel. It features multiple rooms. This is, I believe they're really going for the tourist dollar. They have a beautiful space. You walk in, the lobby is luxurious. It's very themed. You are walking into an old hotel, and you like the motif of it is carried throughout the entire escape room experience. And you walk up to a desk to check in. The whole vibe is when you're led to your room, it's as if somebody who works at the hotel, the person who would be carrying your luggage is actually the person who is leading you up to the room, And in our situation, there actually was luggage involved. We ended up having to carry a suitcase with us to get to the room, like a hotel. So the theme, this is a beautiful space. It is worth going down into Hollywood if you like escape rooms. Check out something here at Escape Hotel. Now, they've only just recently opened, and I know it's a little rough around the edges, and I noticed a couple of things. They're a little clunky, like the check-in space. They have this luxurious lobby, and the check-in space is very, very tiny. So there was kind of a bottleneck, and I think they're still working out the kinks of like how to get the flow going of because the rooms don't all start at the same time, but they start close to each other.
Because they have multiple rooms, right?
Yes, they do. And I definitely want to go back and try a couple of the other rooms, because what I did was called the Mafia Room. And really the theme of it and everything about the room itself, I really enjoyed. Production value was good. I got to admit, Mike, I've commented to you about this, and actually we ran into it in one space in the bunker experience. It's really intriguing when something is very dimly lit that it actually makes the puzzles harder. And the Mafia Room has a little bit of that going on, but it plays into it in a fun way. We had a negative experience to begin with. What happened was we got into our room. The person gave us the rules, gave us how to handle clues. There's a call box. This is one of the escape rooms where you are not allowed to get a clue for the first 20 minutes. You're on your own. So we got into the room, and there was a huge video screen, and we were basically told that there was going to be a short video to set up the story. The Mafia Room story is basically that you are in this room looking for some information that is hidden there before the Mafia guys come back, because if they find you in this space, they're not going to be very happy. So the video didn't start for us. And we were just standing there awkwardly, and we didn't know what to do. So we waited, and finally one of the team said, well, I'm going to start investigating stuff. I'm going to start looking for clues, because I know there's clues. Maybe the video will come on. So we had no timer start. We had no introductory video to set up the story. None of that inside the room. And so I went over to the call box and I pushed it. And again, compliment to them. When you call the call box, they answer as the front desk of the hotel.
That's awesome.
Which is a great touch. Like, absolutely. So the person giving you the clue, is they make reference to the hotel. They make reference to room service. We stated nothing has begun. We have no timer visible. I believe we should have. And they went, oh, we'll send someone from room service right up to your room, sir. Sorry about that. They pulled us out of the room to reset the room. And then we waited for an hour as they tried to reset the room, and they kept coming out. They gave us free drinks. They tried to make it as nice an experience as possible. They were extremely apologetic, and unfortunately, our room was supposed to start at 11:30 p.m., so it was really late.
That's past your bedtime.
I stay up late sometimes. The whole experience was supposed to start at 11:30. After about an hour, we started look, maybe we should just come back at another time. And they finally admitted, and they were very kind. They gave us drinks and everything while we were waiting. They gave us tea, Coke, they were very supportive of the fact that we were not having a great experience.
They gave you Coke to keep you up to do the next time slot.
Hola. So they were very kind about it, but it was a very awkward, very disappointing experience. And after 90 minutes, we look, please give us our money back. We're going to leave. And, I said to them, I was like, look, I really want to experience one of your rooms. I hear good things, but this does speak to the fact that they do have a reputation of going through a lot of growing pains. I've heard this about other rooms. I know someone who did another room that had a prop problem. So there's definitely some growing pains going on because it's a new escape room. But the atmosphere, when I was there, the tourist dollar was walking in the door. I saw so many people just walk off Hollywood Boulevard, walk into this place and go, what is this? What do you do? And that kind of warmed my heart because I like escape rooms so much. They're introducing a lot of people, I think, to something new. just simply based on their location, which is awesome. I hope they get the kinks worked out. So what we decided to do was we went back a week later, and we did the Mafia room. Everything worked great. Everything worked fine. We were told that night that we had the problem that apparently what had happened was someone in the previous team had pulled out a bunch of wiring.
Oh, geez.
That was connected to the video screen, apparently. So it was not Escape Hotel Room's fault. They just didn't realize that before they put another group into the room of just how bad the damage was. So that was disappointing, but they at least explained it to us, and they said, we're really sorry. And when we came back, the room itself, first of all, it's very funny because somebody warned me about this. The room is so cold. It's really chilly in there. And the clues are really fun. There's a couple of really clever ones that involve like audio things that you have to find and listen to, and there's some. It's a nice room in the fact that a lot of the things that you get first you don't use until later. Like you get a reference to. They basically actually say you should be looking for pictures of something, and it doesn't play out for the longest time. And then near the very end of the room, like, oh, you need to remember exactly what they said about those pictures that'll give you some of the final clues that you need. It's a space that expands. It's a space that it's really, really fun. I'm kind of now hemming and hawing because Mike has not done this room, and I want him to do this room. There is a point about midway through that I literally got into overwhelm mode, Mike.
Oh, no.
Because I suddenly realized, oh, we are halfway done with our time, and suddenly I have a gazillion props. I have so much information in front of me because, like, you get to about halfway in the room and something happens where you realize, oh, I've got so much more to work with than I thought. And then you just have to like realize, oh, okay, well, the clues lead me here, here, and here. So you have to be very specific about what you're investigating, what you're looking at, what you're like moving around in the room, which was really, really fun. And that moment is a great moment in an escape room. It's like we had so much fun when we uncovered the next phase. It was just like, it was a blast. We had a really great time. So I would recommend Escape Hotel. I'm planning on going back. Like I said, a little bit of a clunky start for me, but the Mafia room is really fun. The only criticism I would have about Escape Hotel and the Mafia room is the person who sort of hosted our room, and there's no one in the room with you, but they're obviously watching, as all escape rooms do. The person kept chiming in a hair too fast with clues. They were trying to help us rather than let us fumble. And our team as a whole wanted to fumble. And we talked about it afterwards, like, how did you feel about the clues? And like, they came a little too fast.
That kind of speaks to the tourist part of it.
Absolutely. I think you hit it. That's why I brought it up. Because I think most people, if they're getting the tourist dollar walking off the street, walking off Hollywood Boulevard and saying, what is this? Those people are going to probably need a little bit more help. So, we would uncover a clue and we would go, wait, it could be this. It could be this. All right, wait, it could be that. And then literally the guy on the intercom would go, why don't you look closer over there? And it was like, okay, great. But we would have liked another 2 minutes, and it was and it's a very fine line. I totally understand why they were doing it. Obviously, they want you to succeed. And we had a really good time inside the room. That was my one thing, is like we wish we could have fumbled a bit more on our own before they started chiming in with clues. And I think there was only one time that we actually went and we didn't ask for a clue, we asked for a clarification on something. So, and I think was it because we couldn't read something? I'm drawing a blank on what exactly it was, but we asked for a clarification. And Mike, yeah, like, you haven't done one yet. I know you're planning on doing one. So this is I brought visual aids to a podcast. I'm holding up for Mike. The one thing that they do is they actually issue you a passport.
That's cool.
So anytime you go back and do one of their rooms, they date stamp it, And, the passport has my picture. They took my picture. They actually created a passport for me that anytime I go back to the hotel and do another escape room, they're going to add something to the passport, which is such a fun thing.
That's a cool idea.
It's a cool idea for the people here in Los Angeles who will do all of the rooms or will do multiple rooms, but also as a tourist.
Oh yeah, souvenir to go back home.
Isn't this kind of a cool souvenir? Because, especially if you're in Los Angeles from an area that doesn't have a lot of escape rooms are still spanning across this country. Like, this would be a really cool souvenir because it's a really nicely bound. There's pictures inside.
Yeah, for those that are not here, which is everybody, you open it up and there's an actual printout of a color picture of Russell with all of his information on the first page. So they literally make it right there and take your picture, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like it's part of your check-in process your first time. And then, when you were like the person I was with had done another one of their earlier rooms, he had the passport and they brought up his name immediately and went, "Oh, you've been here before. Thank you for being a returning guest." And so, yeah, they're playing into the whole hotel motif. And I just thought that was really clever. It's really nice. Clunky start, but positive experience overall. And the production design, really cool.
Do you get anything if you fill your passport?
They didn't say that, so I don't know. It might be just a souvenir. So, but and the pictures inside the passport are various things from around Los Angeles, and I believe the actual lobby of the hotel. So,
no, I don't think you mentioned it, but did you escape?
Oh, yes, we did.
Nice.
I think. Wow, I'm drawing a blank on the time. I think we escaped with 9 or 10 minutes left.
Nice.
And it's an hour room, and you need almost the full time because it is a complex room. And if they had not thrown out the clues quite so quickly, I guarantee you we would have been down to the wire. Because there's a couple near the end that are really kind of like clever, mind-bending puzzles. And there was math involved at one point, and you know how well I do with math.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, Escape Hotel, clunky start, but definitely a thumbs up. And I'm looking forward to going back.
Cool. Which room do you want to do next?
They have a daycare room, which was highly recommended.
I'm not even going to mention the obvious joke right now.
So, and they also have they have a witchcraft room, which I definitely would like to try. They have a zombie room and they have an agent room.
Oh, cool.
And each of these have different storylines, and they are planning on opening up more rooms soon. And they've kind of listed like they have a circus room coming, they have a pirate room coming, they have a heist room, a slaughter room, which that sounds interesting,
Ooh.
and a kidnapping room. So they've announced these other themes which they plan to expand. Hopefully they're doing well, and hopefully they'll get the small kinks worked out.
I wonder if there's a theme, an unintentional theme, like you do the daycare room and then do the kidnapping room.
Oh, interesting.
Into the witchcraft room.
Into the slaughter room.
Yep.
I guess the slaughter room would be last, probably.
Yeah, and then the zombie room.
So, oh, well, that makes perfect sense.
See, we're making stories all over the place.
Yeah, definitely had a good time at the Escape Hotel. Definitely looking forward to going back. So if you want to learn more about the Escape Hotel in Hollywood, their website is escapehotelhollywood.com. You can look them up on Facebook at Escape Hotel. On Twitter, they are escape_hotel, and on Instagram, they are escape_hotel. And definitely go out, go and check their Instagram. They've got some really creepy, nice images going on. And outside the hotel, Mike, is something that a lot of people are going to not notice this just because of the location. Not on Hollywood Boulevard, up the side street, on the wall, they have created posters for the various rooms, but they make them look like movie posters because it's Hollywood.
Cool.
So, they actually have like credit blocks at the bottom of the poster. It's really kind of clever. They definitely got a beautiful whole theme going. The whole look of the place is really, really lovely. So definitely check them out. And actually really happy that they are pulling in some of the tourist dollar and introducing new people to this, which both times I was there, I saw that happening. Just people wandering off the street going, "Tell me more." That's awesome. Now, Mike, there's something which you got, which I need to know more information about because I'm really curious.
Is it about that rash?
No, we weren't going to mention that.
Oh.
So, no, talk about Box of Dread.
Oh, yeah. Box of Dread. I love mail. I love getting mail still. I mean, who doesn't? Except when they're bills or citations or speeding tickets or, you know. Okay, maybe we don't love all mail, but most mail. So Box of Dread is a subscription service, much like Loot Crate or Nerd Block, things along those lines, where every month you get a box sent to you full of random goodness. Each month there's a different theme, and for Box of Dread, it's very horror-oriented. It is horror-oriented. Box of Dread is part of Dread Central, which is a great website for all horror-related news. And they started a subscription service a couple years ago, and I subscribed. When they first started, I subscribed for the first 3 months, and it was really cool. I liked the stuff I got, but it wasn't enough to get me to keep going. I wasn't that into what was there and what I was getting. It's like, oh, this is cool, but I would never really buy this. And when the I would never really buy this adds up enough, you just kind of stop. So I gave them another shot. I saw them at Midsummer Scream, and the month's theme was Predator, which is awesome because who doesn't love Predator? And get to the chopper. Sorry, I had to do that. Get to the chopper?
Oh.
Russell's looking at me like, what are you talking about? And it's like,
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you when you said it. I was like,
dude, that's the point.
I got it.
Get to the chopper. Come on, you try it now.
Get to the chopper.
Oh my God.
That's really bad.
Yeah. We should have some sort of contest.
No, we shouldn't.
A get to the chopper contest. Anyways, so like I said, it's Predator themed, and so you can expect to get a bunch of stuff related to Predator. So when my box came, I opened it up, and the first thing I see is a plush Predator. It's probably about 4 or 5 inches tall, and it's so cute. Like, it shouldn't be cute because it's Predator, but man, like, it's like, aw, when you make anything small and plushy, it's like, aw, you're a cute guy, even though you killed everyone. And then also in there was a Predator mini-mate. If you don't know what a mini-mate is, picture something like a little Lego guy, except a little bit bigger and dealing with whatever theme you have it in. So for Predator, it was a Predator mini-mate, and I got Billy. He came with a knife, and he came with a machete, and he's wearing army fatigues, and he has camouflage on his face. And it's really cool seeing just the little details that they added on this guy. Also, they give you things that aren't necessarily specific to Predator, but have to deal with it, like Predator's an alien. So I got some other random things that didn't have to do with Predator so much, but is along the same family. For example, I got a Cthulhu air freshener and a Cthulhu sticker and Murloc from World of Warcraft, a little pop keychain.
I gotta ask, what does a Cthulhu air freshener smell like?
Chaos. And the sea.
I walked right into that.
Yeah. And then I got a Mars Attacks pin. And the one thing that I was really excited about is, because I'm a comic nerd deep down, is they had a comic from Ebon Press, and they called this the Book of Ebon. And what it was artwork and like little snippets from Lucio Fulci's movies.
Wow.
So on the cover is an ode to zombie. And then there's things from Gates of Hell and Bottom Feeder inside. And the artwork is awesome. Like, it's very, very like when you watch Creepshow and you have like the comics parts of it. The art is very like that. And Ebon Press, this was their first thing, but they're doing a lot of horror comic books, and it's rad. Like, so if you're into horror, definitely check them out. Box of Dread is $14 plus $6 shipping. a month, so it's $20. But if you sign up for 3 months, you can get a dollar discount on each month. So I liked it. It's one of those things where when you compare it to other subscription boxes, like when you watch unboxing videos, there's so much out there, but so little for horror. There's maybe only a few horror things, but I think Box of Dread you would feel a little bit better for the value if you got a t-shirt, which I heard that was happening. You know, when I first subscribed, they threw in a t-shirt 1 month. But I feel like t-shirts are the norm now for most other subscription boxes. I think like Loot Crate has one every month, and, you know, like Nerd Block and all them. It's like, it seems the standard is a pop figure and a t-shirt. So it's kind of cool that they're not doing it, but at the same time, if you're a new subscriber, you kind of almost expect that stuff. So yeah, so that's where it is. I'll see where this goes, give it another shot. I mean, I do love opening mail, and I love surprises, and I love horror. So when you combine all of those things together, you know, it's a win-win-win.
I'm not that familiar with Box of Dread. I know that it's out there, but do they announce the themes in advance? Like, can you? I think on the website I saw that you could order just one box.
Yeah, they announced the themes, and you can order that one box. And if you didn't order that month and you found out afterwards, like, oh, that was really cool, I wish I got it, they'll sell the leftover boxes.
Oh, cool.
They usually have a limited supply left, so they'll sell those afterwards.
Oh, cool. Excellent. Yeah, that intrigues me a little bit more, because I've looked at other subscription services for various things, and one of the reasons that I don't usually subscribe is because you always have just a month that doesn't interest you.
Right.
It's not that it's not cool. It's not that it doesn't interest a lot of people. It doesn't interest me. So yeah, that's very cool that you can do the one-off with Box of Dread. That makes me want to check it out more.
Cool. And Russell, if you wanted to check it out, you can find them on the web at boxofdread.com, on Facebook, Box of Dread, Instagram, Box of Dread, and also Twitter, Box of Dread.
Something sort of new that is out there on the horizon, our beloved Blackout, which Mike and I are both big fans of. We have not heard any official announcement for the Halloween season for Blackout. I know at the ScareLA convention, Josh Randall, the co-creator of Blackout, sort of hinted that LA might not be on their map this year for a fall show. Something happened on their website, which is really interesting. They have announced that Blackout is now available for private off-season events. Obviously, this is, if you go to the Blackout website, they have a description that says, you know, you've read about the private invite-only shows, you've heard about the celebrities and custom Blackout experiences, you've asked if this is like David Fincher's The Game, you've pushed for something more intimate, more intense, longer. Well, they are now offering a VIP experience. It is a custom-tailored Blackout experience for each participant. An experience can, they say on the website, last anywhere from 2 days to a full month. Prices for private events start at $8,000 within the United States, and a $1,000 retainer is necessary to even begin a serious conversation about what is possible. So obviously, they are offering a very pricey one-off experience, which, you know, one of the things Blackout does really well is they get to know the patrons who love Blackout and return to Blackout. They get to know them very well. So the idea of offering a VIP experience makes complete sense. That's a high ticket price.
Oh, yeah. And there's no information about how many people that can be. So if you wanted to split it with someone, can you?
That's a good question. I don't know. And they don't really say anything. So yeah, so it's like, it's an intriguing development in the Blackout universe. You know, I don't know if I would want to spend that much money on a VIP experience from any haunt, to be totally honest. You know, Mike and I have talked about, you know, on the past of, you know, what you get for your dollar. That's a lot of other haunts.
Yeah. That's like years and years of other haunts.
So, but, you know, more power to Blackout, and they're obviously catering to a higher end clientele than I can afford for myself. But, you know, more power to them. I hope someday we hear a little bit more about this and what is the possibility, because it certainly is intriguing.
See, this scares me. And this scares me because of Remember when Los Angeles got canceled because of insurance reasons?
Yes.
This makes me wonder and fear that this is going to be what Blackout is going forward, and not so much have their events anymore because of insurance, because I'm assuming that there's different insurance for a catered like VIP. You're hiring someone to do this for you instead of hundreds of people.
A valid point. I don't know what the insurance situation would be. It was frustrating that they had to cancel a show for insurance reasons here in Los Angeles. Yeah, I don't know. And also, we've talked about, ticket prices rising for immersive theater events and all that. Well, this isn't just rising. This is huge jump. And again, I have to believe, because of Blackout's history, that they have something very elaborate and very specific and special in mind if they're asking for this.
Right.
It's like, and look, I Josh and Chris, the creators of Blackout, they are brilliant creative minds in so many ways. And again, I just find it an interesting development. Again, I don't think I'm the audience for it. Wish I were, but, I don't think I am.
When we rob that bank and win the lottery...
Maybe. So maybe if I find $8,000 laying around somewhere, I would consider this. So, but again, it's like it's hard to say. I'm not offering criticism. I'm just saying, interesting development. I think you just cut me out of this.
Yeah, and the other thing too is they did update their whole site. So on top
True.
of the VIP part, they finally have the VR part. Unfortunately, you can't do anything yet. It's just a link to the studio they were working with, but knowing that it's there and they're acknowledging it, and after what we saw at Midsummer Scream, that gets me so excited for that to come out.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I am really curious to see where they're heading with the VR stuff, definitely. That trailer that we got to see at Midsummer Scream was so dark and disturbing and thrilling, and yeah, it's like definitely looking forward to more from Blackout.
And to see Blackout's new updated website, you can go to theblackoutexperience.com. You can find them on Facebook at Blackout Haunted House, on Instagram, The Blackout Experience, and on Twitter, NYC Haunted House. Now, Russell, we talked on a couple podcasts about Johnny the Shell and the Speakeasy Society, and that run has ended. And I feel like we're finally at a point where we can talk about it and not have to worry about spoiling it.
Yeah, we did mention it on a previous podcast, and for those of you who need a quick update, Speakeasy Society is an immersive theater company here in the Los Angeles area. I have done, I think now, 4 shows that they have created. I love the Speakeasy Society's work. It's intriguing, it's challenging, it is truly immersive work. You enter environments and interact with characters. I've done a show where literally in a working bar and restaurant, and I had to go find somebody, and the show was performed for me in a working bar and restaurant among other patrons. That type of experimental immersive work. They are doing a trilogy based on Johnny Got His Gun. It's a novel that is very harrowing a read. It's very dark material. It tells the story of a wounded soldier who cannot speak and has no arms and legs, and it's basically you're like taking a journey through his memories and him trying to figure out how exactly he wound up where he is. So that's the basic story that this trilogy is based on. Mike and I have recently attended the second part of this trilogy called Johnny the Shell. I think this is one of my favorite immersive theater experiences I've ever done. Mike, you attended twice.
Yes.
I attended 3 times. And
always try to outdo me.
And I will say this for those of you who what would happen is if you let them know that you were returning to the show, Mike did this, I did this, they would deliberately sort of set you on a different path, because what happens is in this piece, you sort of follow a trajectory through the show and you get different scenes based on where you started the show. You walked in, you were given the name of Johnny, you portrayed Johnny, and you walk through memories, and all of the characters that you encounter are pieces of his memory, and you interact. I was led from room to room. I was taught how to do things. I helped create flyers for a dance. I helped create decorations for a dance. I watched someone barter for their soul with what could have been the devil, maybe death himself. I danced with my own mother as a child, which is one of the most moving scenes. I don't know if you got that scene, Mike.
I danced with, what was her name?
Yeah, you're talking about the final sequence.
Right.
No, I in the middle of the show, I got pulled off to the side, and I prayed at an altar, and as I was praying, I was being spoken to by a woman who then blindfolded me, and which represents the not having eyesight. And she began speaking to me as my mother, and she said, "Come with me, Johnny, dance with me like when you were a child." And we danced, and it was this unbelievably moving, because in that moment, and that was my third time through the show, you realize how much was lost. Like the fact that this man was destroyed by war and by serving in the military, and everything that he lost and everything his family lost. So in that sequence, just simply by dancing with her and her gently, like handling me, leading me around because I was blindfolded, it was just an amazingly beautiful, gentle, touching sequence. Another sequence, which here's another one that I wanted to know if you ever saw. Did you get the fence sequence?
I don't think so.
Did you have? You had to advance through the pews of a church as if you were climbing through the trenches.
Oh no, that's cool. Like what they were doing in the beginning.
Yeah, it's like you went back into that, except they like get down, and then you had to advance toward the front of the trenches. So they're like, okay, on my count, go, and you literally had to run like 3 or 4 pews up, and then dive behind the pews and hide as if you're under enemy fire.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So, and at the end of that, there's a sequence where you realize that there is a soldier that is trapped in the barbed wire between the two warring troops. And there's this whole sequence where they are trying to knock the body off the fence by throwing things at it. And so they took, I was off to the side for the sequence, but they took one of the other people that was in our group, and they had them throw like paper and stuff at the actor who was portraying, it was an actress playing the soldier. And then that turned into a rescue sequence where you saw someone amputate their limb. It was like you were in the middle of warfare. It's like, and the trajectory of each show, I think I digressed. What I was going to say is I went through the show 3 times. I only got one scene twice.
That's incredible.
And how about you? Did you get any repeated scenes?
No repeated scenes. I went twice.
So you went twice, and you got a completely different show both times.
Mm-hmm. It was 100% new. I mean, outside of, the beginning part.
It just blows my mind how ambitious this was.
Yeah, how they can pull that off. Because we're, like, you and I are not the only people that went multiple times.
No.
So if there's multiple people in a single show, like the way they're orchestrating that is incredible to be able to make that happen.
Yeah, and I it's like, what was your like name? I've named a couple of sequences. Name a couple of the sequences that really spoke to you.
So a couple were the first time I went. First of all, I want to say the second time I went, it got so much darker.
It did for me too.
Yeah, and it I'm so glad I went the second time, being able to see that, because obviously we're into dark stuff, but being able to see just the creepiness and the death and everything that went along with war, like it was like, the one scene where they train you how to kill someone. And you're using a pillow, and it's like...
That was really disturbing.
This is how you snap a neck. This is how you suffocate someone. Like, I knew all that already. No, I'm just kidding. But, it was just like, holy crap. Like, where is this going? And that was the second scene of that day when when I went that night.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I went through that scene as well, and I want to be sure that people listening to this understand what you just said. Like, it's not that they show you, it's they make you act it out.
Yeah, they give you a pillow, and the general tells you, this is how you snap a neck. You want to do it quick, so you hear that snap. So they, with the pillow, they make you, twist it so you can hear the pillow go. And it's wow.
It's disturbing as hell. Yeah, and the suffocation thing, they actually have you act out suffocating someone, like suffocating your enemy. If you don't kill them, they will kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else?
Yeah, the first time I went upstairs and I was given a physical. I was alone, and I had 2 physicals, one in each room. And the fact, it was really funny because the questions they were asking, I was answering in character. So they were like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "Johnny." And they're like, "Last name?" And it's like, "Smith," or something like that. And they're like, "When's your birthday?" And I had to think. I'm like, "Okay, what year is it?" And I was like, September 4th, 1900, or something like that. And
it's funny. I didn't go far enough back. I did the math later and went, that would have made me way too young.
Yeah.
I gave the wrong answer, but yes.
Well, it's funny that they say that. You say that because when I answer, they're like, "Oh, most recruits don't know their birthday." So it makes me wonder if people are like,
funny.
"Oh crap, how am I supposed to answer?" And,
Right.
Stuff like that. And then there was, when I went into the second room, this was really funny to me, and I think I might have said this to you, but when I went in there, the soldier told me, "Okay, lock the door," and I locked the door, and it was one of those old locks, the kind of lock where it's not a deadbolt, it's an probably, I don't know, from the 50s maybe, like those kinds of locks, where there's like a little knob. It looks like a nipple, and you have to like push it up or down, and that's what
right.
locks the door.
Yeah.
And so I did that. I was familiar with those because obviously I was around in 1950 or something.
He's an old soul, Mike.
Yeah. No, my I know family members have had that in their homes, so that's how I knew about it. And after we were done, she tried opening the door, and it was locked. And I don't think she was familiar with it as I was. So she was like, "Oh, I've never had a recruit actually lock the door so far." And it was just like, and there was a point where I feel like she almost broke character because I saw a start of a smile and the beginning of a laugh, but it was just such a great moment. And it was just, we were alone in that room, and it was just so funny. But that makes me wonder, we talked a little bit about this at some point, just with immersive theater in general. What would happen if I was some random crazy dude and we were in a locked room?
That's
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I do know what you
stuff
mean.
like that is so weird to think about. Like, whenever we joke around, it's like, dude, we should do something. It's stuff like that gets in my mind. It's like, oh, what do we do at that point? And I don't know.
The actress you're referring to who performed that scene with you, I ran into her. I had so many scenes with her, and like she was having fun. Like, you could, like, I think actually the whole cast. I think you could tell she was really into it, and she responded very well, because I answered in character and everything. She responded really, really well to that, and yeah, it's interesting. So you had to unlock the door, I take it.
Yeah. And then the biggest thing that I remember that was on my mind, and this is a scene. If you remember a couple podcasts ago, I said, I got this scene, and if you get it, you will be a wreck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got that scene, and I mean, I'll let you talk about it because it's...
No, actually, please, seriously, what happened is Mike and I know each other fairly well, and like, I know certain things that I think get to Mike, and Mike knows certain things that get to me. And Mike, after he went through Johnny, he asked, like, did you get the scene? Because I bet it would really affect you. And I got it my final time through, my third time through.
Yeah.
And it really messed with my head. It really did. But no, because I want to hear what you going through that sequence was like.
So at one point, I was taken away from my group, and I was told to go into this room and just wait there because someone will come to get me. And I was like, okay. So I go in the room and I wait there. It's just an empty room. And there's closets, and I looked on the floor. I was like, oh, there's a letter. Okay, cool. This is maybe a clue of what I'm going to do. So I pick the letter up. I start reading it. All of a sudden, I hear a voice, and I hear like knocking on the closet door. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Because it's dark. The room is only lit by candlelight and like maybe like the moonlight or street light maybe.
Yeah, I think there's light coming in the window, yeah.
And I hear a person saying, open the door, open the door. And so I open the door, and there's a man there chained and tied up in the closet with a bloody piece of fabric over his eyes.
Yeah, and there was blood as if he'd lost his eyes.
Yeah.
And he had been crucified, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was in the Jesus pose, like in the
Yeah.
closet, arms spread out, and he just starts talking about it, and talking about the cemetery and where you're going to be buried, and like I'm really having this hard of a time talking about it because it's like just thinking about it, and the way he spoke to you, it just made you feel so horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, when I opened the closet door, I literally went, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!" And because it's such a shocking image, and what he and it's interesting because I talked to a woman who got that scene, and what he spoke to her about was slightly different than what he spoke to me about. He talked to me about the value of my life and how there were other lives not as valuable as mine, which I thought was a really, really odd thing.
Yeah, I got the same thing.
Yeah, and it's really disturbing, but if you put it in the context of war, the value of a soldier versus the value of a deserter, a criminal,
A civilian, a general.
Yeah, it was really disturbing material, and this was the second to last scene of the evening for me. So, like, I had gone through, this was my third time, like, all of the heaviness of the casualties of war, the pointlessness, the murder, everything that we had witnessed up until that point. This was the second to last scene of the entire run for me. And when he started talking about the cemetery that you mentioned, and that is where the criminals are buried, and that there are no headstones, and that it's hidden away from the rest of the cemetery. And he said all of that. And it literally reduced me to tears because of the pain he was in. And he kept making the reference of he was less than, that kept coming through in various ways in the dialogue. It was truly disturbing. And like, I'm sure the reason you said what you did is, the whole, like the destruction of innocence thing with me. I assume that's sort of why you said I would react that way. I'm asking, like, seriously.
Oh, no, just because it was a really moving scene, and if it can get to me,
yeah,
like, you're no match for it.
I'm toast. So I'm the emotional one. But yeah, and I had this. Do you remember how the scene was lit?
I think so.
There were lights in the closet.
Oh yeah.
But there was a lantern on the door.
Yeah.
And at one point, I were you very close to him during the scene?
Yeah. He was basically talking into my ear.
Yeah, it was this incredibly intimate sequence, and I was in the same position. I was right up next to him, and he was basically speaking a lot of it in whispers toward my ear. And at one point, I literally, it was getting to the point, it was so intense that I sort of reached out to touch the walls to, like, stabilize myself. And I didn't notice that there was a lantern on the door. So when I reached out, I hit the lantern, scared the crap out of both of us because he's blindfolded, he can't see, and the lantern is behind me. So I reached out my arm and I hit the lantern, and it hits the door. It's like clunk, really loud, and he jumps, and I felt horrible, but I jumped, and I probably did a little mini scream like when that happened, but it was also, he completely incorporated it into his distress. It was just this amazing moment of like, look, there are theater moments that you will always remember. It's like, and for me, that sequence, it was an honor to get that sequence.
Yeah.
I cannot express how much I appreciate witnessing that scene.
I'm so glad you did, because I knew that would be a highlight for you.
It was, absolutely. That and the mother scene I mentioned earlier, the pew thing, and that the pew thing was followed by a monologue where they took the other people out of the group, and it was just the actor and me, and he gave this monologue about being a soldier that was so like, I think I'm supposed to be feeling pride, but I really feel insecure. It's like a devastating moment, like, because you realize that it was the propaganda, but you knew what was underneath it. So it was like, yeah, there are so many moments in this show. It was so ambitious, and just like, I'm so glad you went multiple times. I was so happy when you contacted me and said that you were going back, because this was your first Speakeasy Society show, correct?
Yep.
So I've been trying to get you to go.
I was going to go to the Hollow, but it just didn't work out.
Right. Yeah. The Hollow was sort of their Halloween show last year. Yeah.
Another funny thing is at the ending party, the first time I went, I was able to dance, and I was fed lines by Yuri to his girlfriend or wife. I forget I forget her name. I'm so sorry, but she looked like Sarah Silverman. And the funny part is when we started dancing, and I'm assuming it's, obviously this is part of the story and everything, but she's like, no, I'll lead. And it was funny for me because I can actually dance. Like, yes. I can waltz. I knew exactly what they were doing. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, I didn't want to ruin the story, but I was like, no, I can do this. Like, let me do this. Let me lead. I can show you. But that was just really funny for me.
Oh, that's great. The third time through, because basically the end sequence was earlier actually in the show. Some of us got recruited to make streamers and make decorations for a dance, which you get to the dance at the very end of the show. You actually go to the dance that you were decorating for. And the final time through is like, so it's uneven, and basically the cast comes up and encourages, like, either pulls you up to dance with them or tries to pair people off. So there are women dancing with women, there are men dancing with men. Because you never know who's going to be in the patrons. That final sequence, the guy from the closet pulled me up and I danced with him.
Oh, wow.
And he was asking me how my year had been, because it's a New Year's dance. And it's the changing of the year, and the whole attitude is, boy, this last year was really bad. Hopefully next year will bring less death, more positive things. So he was asking me about the year, and it was so effective for me, because I knew I had just done that scene minutes before with him in the closet, and here he is, and he immediately came for me, and just like danced with me and was asking. It was so overwhelming for me, It was just it was. I loved this show so much for all of the heart in it and how deeply it affected me, I was so excited, Mike, when you said you were going back, because I knew that it had gotten to you too.
I want to see what else was there.
So yeah, it's amazing. And we've been, obviously Mike and I both were heavily emotionally affected by this show. I've gone through multiple Speakeasy Society shows. They are a company to watch.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder what's coming up next. and if they had anything else on the horizon. I was always wondering that. Russell, do you have any information about what I'm wondering?
You're so subtle and understated, Mike. So I actually asked, after the show, I went up to some of the staff that was working there, and they were so gracious and kind, and they are looking at other shows during the course of the year. I think they're going to try to do one full production before the end of the year. So basically, Speakeasy Society, we're going to give you the web information shortly. Basically, they have a mailing list that you should sign up for. Follow these guys, learn these guys. It's like I think they're my favorite company in Los Angeles right now. But to answer Mike's question, and this really surprised me, Mike. There is something called Indiecade. Indiecade actually is, they call themselves a International Festival of Independent Games. So Indiecade Festival is coming up in Los Angeles on the USC campus on October 14th through 16th of this year. Well, Speakeasy Society is doing a piece for Indiecade. They sent me a little message because I'd asked, hey, what's coming up for you guys? And I'm going to actually just read verbatim what they wrote. It said, we wanted to share with you that we are currently working on a piece for the Indiecade Game Development Festival. It will be an intimate piece for only a couple people at a time, drawing from some elements of popular game design to bring it into a live, immersive context. So they're going to have some sort of a small, intimate show of some kind at the Indiecade Festival, again, October 14th through 16th of this year on the USC campus in Los Angeles. So hopefully they will have more information on that shortly available on their website. But that's something, and I have a feeling that they will try to do at least one more show before the end of the year. I know that's their plan, and hopefully they'll be able to pull that off.
That's awesome and exciting and encouraging.
Yeah. So if you want to, please get on their mailing list. I highly recommend that. If you would like to learn more about the Speakeasy Society, their information is speakeasysociety.com on the web. Look for them on Facebook at the Speakeasy SOC, all one word. On Twitter, they are also the Speakeasy SOC. Instagram, the Speakeasy SOC. So Speakeasy Society, we absolutely loved Johnny the Shell. I think this is going to turn out to be one of my favorite things of the entire year. Definitely get on their mailing list, support them in the future. They will be doing work, and at some point they have promised yet another installment of the Johnny trilogy, and definitely that will be worth going for.
Recently, we were interviewed on the podcast No Proscenium by Noah, and we wanted to spread the word and send a huge thank you to Noah for having us on. What we did is we talked about all the haunts that are coming up, or most of the haunts that are coming up in LA, and it was a really just fun conversation with him. We were fans of his podcast way before. He focuses on theater and immersive theater and a little bit of escape rooms, a little bit of haunts every now and then. But whereas we are focused on haunts, he is focused on immersive theater. And it was a good yin and yang kind of conversation, having both sides talk about things, because haunts are becoming more immersive.
And actually, one thing I really enjoyed about that conversation with Noah is when he started pulling us into the conversation about immersive pieces and how they're developing, and how it's a buzzword in the industry right now, how people are claiming to be immersive when actually they're wanting to use it as a buzzword. But there's a lot of interesting territory covered in that conversation about what is immersive, why would you do immersive, and it's also just a conversation about what we are looking forward to, what he calls the spooky season, but there's more to the conversation than just a calendar of what's coming up.
Yeah. So thank you again, Noah. We were honored to be on your podcast, and after spooky season, we'll have you on and we can talk about immersive theater, and you can nerd out like we nerded out about the haunts. It's only fair.
We should mention that Noah was part of our team on the record-setting trip through the bunker experience. Just thanks, Noah, for being part of that team.
Yeah, team suck at horror buzz. Love you, Jeff.
Yeah, really. We respect and like Horror Buzz. We just are better at escape rooms than they are.
Well, at least this one. We're going to take it.
At least this one. So.
We'll take it as long as we can.
So,
But we actually, because of that, we have competition now because Madison saw that post and Madison from Crossroads. So now they're going to go after our record.
Oh, that's very
so
funny.
Fingers crossed that they don't break it.
Well, it's also very humorous because like we're not usually after records. It just happens.
It just happens. We're that awesome.
It's like we weren't trying to do that. It's like because we were just having such a good time.
We don't try to break records. We just do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyways, we digress.
Yes, we do.
Noah, thank you once again. Everybody go check out Noah's podcast after you listen to ours. And if you're into immersive theater or immersive theater curious, check it out. He has tons of events that he talks about. He gives news about the LA scene and even New York. So for more information about that, you can go to noproscenium.com. On Facebook, No Proscenium. On Instagram, No_Proscenium. And on Twitter, No Proscenium. And on iTunes, search for No Proscenium. I wanted to give a couple shout outs to a couple people. The first is Phil Crane, who is Chip Danger on Twitter. Phil shows so much love and support for us and other haunts and the haunt community. It's incredible. He always retweets us. And if you follow his Twitter, he retweets every haunt from LA. And it's incredible. And we need more people like him, like just to support haunts in general. And so thank you so much. It really means a lot. I know we traded a few direct messages and, you know, like the support that you have shown us, like we're just two random guys talking about haunts. It means the world to us. So thank you so much.
And also recommend other people check him out for the fact that he actually is providing the service of drawing attention to other stuff that you might not be aware of. Like, it's awesome.
And the other is Russell in Cincinnati. He was looking for some more extreme haunts in his area, and we really don't know of any. But if people in the Cincinnati area know, let us know, and we can relay that message to him.
It becomes a conversation of like, what else is out there.
Right.
I find it interesting that we've had a couple of people from the Midwest in particular reach out and say, do you know anything in our area? So yeah, like it's like we're always interested to hear about other things.
Yeah. So thank you for emailing us. Sorry we couldn't give you better information, but hopefully once people start listening to this, they will know of something and we can get you that information. So that about wraps it up for episode 19. And if you want to find out more information about us, you can go to the web at myhauntlife.com. You can find us on Twitter at myhauntlife, or you can email us at mike@myhauntlife.com or russell@myhauntlife.com with 2 S's and 2 L's. And with that being said, I'm Mike.
And I'm Russell.
And thank you for listening.
And also, we should mention that Noah joined us for the record-setting trick. Wait.
What? You're turning tricks again, Russell?
The record-setting trick.
What? Really?
No.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, it sets records. It's that impressive.
There's not even an R in time.